So what I want to talk about in this video is the stupendous idea of transferring from, oh, red, I don't want to do red for this, is the stupendous idea of transferring uh, from arithmetic, basic arithmetic, to algebra, Alright, now basically what the main difference between arithmetic and algebra is all about balancing equations. And arithmetic, oh, and also solving for a variable, an unknown. Solving for an unknown. Okay? And when you go from arithmetic to algebra, you typically see the differences between, this x and a dot. Okay, now the difference between these two is x is now considered a variable. I'm going to abbreviate a variable, and the dot is now considered your multiplication sign. Multiplication sign. Okay, now this is very important that you understand that in algebra, we are no longer using an x for our multiplication sign. We're either just using a dot, or we're simply putting a letter right next to it to symbolize multiplication. There's other ways to symbolize it, such as putting parentheses around it. You can even have longer terms, such like this, to put a parenthesis around an entire whole other portion or term. Okay, now it's very important that you drop the idea of the x being your time symbol. So when you have something written like this, okay, 5x5, this can get confusing because this is in algebra, you're basically multiplying, okay, 5 times, okay, x times 5. Alright, this 5x5 is 5 times x times 5. We are no longer going to be writing it like this. Okay, now with that being said, I wrote a lot of 5s in here. With that being said, we're going to continue on with understanding balancing an equation, okay, and solving for an unknown. In algebra, we will typically have 1 to a certain number of variables, okay, and these number of variables, typically in algebra you'll see a maximum of, I want to say 3 variables, okay. I'm going to abbreviate again as vars. I'm a programmer. I use vars. Okay, now these variables you'll typically see can be x, can be, I don't want that color, be y, and it can be z. Okay, now if we want to solve an equation with x in it, okay, and let's say I have 5x plus 2 equals, I can tell I really like 5, equals, we'll go with 12. Okay, now in algebra, the concept to solve for this unknown, okay, is to make sure that we balance the equation, and whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. Okay, it's very simple, but sometimes can get confusing when you have a very long equation. when we get to later videos when we're talking about factoring. Okay, now to solve and balance for this side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the number 2 from this side, which will cancel these out because 2 minus 2 is going to give us a 0. And this, we are subtracting a 2 from this side because whatever we do to one side, remember, we're going to do to the other side. Okay, 10 equals, okay, equals 5x. Actually, I'll rewrite that in green for our constants. 5x. Okay, and now I'll talk about order of operations later on, but notice how when I took 2 from this side, these 2's canceled out, getting us a 0, which leaves this empty space, which is fine. And when we're going to subtract 2 from this side, which will give us 10, now I can go and divide by 5 on both sides, which this will give me. Remember, your basic arithmetic says when you divide a number, okay, 5 over 5 is going to give you a 1. And remember, when you multiply a 1 times, anything, that's something. So 1 times x is just going to be x, simply enough. So 5 divided by 5, this will cancel this 5 out, turn it into a 1. Okay, and remember, whatever we do to one side, we're going to be doing to the other side. Divided by 5 over here will give me x equals, 10 divided by 2, or I'm sorry, 10 divided by 5 gives me 2. This will be our answer. Okay, notice how the values in here did not change. Nothing changed. Okay, when it came to solving for this unknown, we had to keep the equation balanced and solve for this unknown variable x. We didn't know what x equaled to begin with. Okay, now to prove this, to prove 5x plus 2 equals 12, and the fact that I got x equals 2 out of this, all I'm going to do is say 5, let me do that back in green, is say 5, times 2 plus 2 equals, what is 5 times 2 plus 2 equal? Well, it equals 12. You see? When I multiplied 5 times 2, I got 10, plus 2 gave me 12, the number 12. See, solving for that unknown allowed us to solve for this variable and get out a single variable of what x would equal if we wanted to find this value.